Hey everybody, and welcome to our little demonstration about how to create this whimsical cow photo. All right, so what we're doing for this assignment is we're putting a cow in a random position, in a random situation. So you get your background picture, and once you got your background picture, then we'll figure out how to add the cow into this picture. So here's our starting point, and here's our cow that we're going to be using. So we're just going to use this picture here. Now, as we do this, so there's a lot of extra stuff in this picture. So here's my cow. Now, when we draw this cow, make sure we're on the right layer, and then we're going to select it. Now, as we're selecting these cows, you got to make sure that you have a cow with the right style of lighting. That's selected a little bit too much. So, and as soon as I get this selected, I'll show you what I'm exactly talking about here. So here we go. So I'm adding a little bit more to it, adding a little bit more. Pretty good. So I'm just clicking with the quick selection tool, and then I'll get done with this in a couple of seconds. Now if it doesn't select everything perfectly, then maybe you want to go in with the lasso tool and draw a little bit more. Alright, so there we go. So we've got that. And now what I want to do is I'm going to go select inverse. So I've got the cow selected. Now I want everything else selected. And then I'm going to press delete. Okay, so now I've got that part taken care of. Alright. Now, what I was talking about earlier is the lighting of the cow. So the lighting is super important. So here's a cow with a major bright light source. Yeah, there's a shadow on this, but they're not really strong cast shadows. This one has a big strong cast shadow, which is too much. So there's only one light source, whereas a baseball field, they've got multiple light sources. So the lighting should be a little bit softer for the picture that I'm using. So based on that, now I've got this image. This is a much better lighting for the cow that I'm using. Okay, now I want the cow facing the other way. So there's no reason that you have to have it facing this way. So I'm just going to go in and go Edit, Transform, Flip Horizontally. Alright, and there we go. So now I'm going to put this cow someplace. Now I want this cow probably maybe right behind this guy here. Okay, so I'm going to have him behind him. So there's a couple ways that we go about this. What I usually do is I'm going to select the background picture, because I remember I want this in the foreground. So I'm going to select him. And again, I'm using this quick selection. Select as much of these guys as possible because I want the cow in behind them. And then I'm going to grab his nose and his chin, his helmet. All right, that's pretty good. I think I got what I need. Grab his shoes. All right, so now I've got that part selected. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy. Well, let's see here. I'm going to copy this. Okay. And now on this layer, so here's my cow. So there's a couple ways you can go about this. So I've already selected this. So what I can do is, if I'm happy with the cow right there, maybe I go into this layer and press delete. Now by pressing delete right here, now it looks like he's behind him, which is great. So I select from this layer, and then I go to this layer and I press delete because the selection is from this layer, but it's still showing up on this layer since the selection was there. And then I delete it. The only problem with that is if I decide to move this, look what happens. So now I can't move it. That's the main part of the story. So I just can't do that. So based off of that, what I'm going to do is I already copied, so I'm just going to go paste. And so now I've got these guys, and I'm going to move this to the top because I want him up at the top. Now, what am I doing? I've just copied that part of these guys. And so now this picture's here. There we go. There we go. So now he is in front of the cow. So the cow is in pretty good shape. Now the next thing we want to do, once that part's done, is we want to add some sort of shadow on here. And so I've added some other shadows into this design to make it fit the picture a little bit better. And so you see, let's hide this. So here's how I created some of those shadows. And so what it was actually doing is, so I kind of use almost a black. Now sometimes you want to use black, sometimes you want to go with like a dark brown, so you can grab the colors that are in there. And so this layer was at 26%, this layer's at 100%, this layer's at 44%. So how did I do all of that? So I'm going to hide those two. I'm going to make a new layer. I always like making new layers because if I put everything on the background layer or the main layer, I can't erase it later. I want this on a separate layer so then I can use my paintbrush. I'm going to grab something larger here. And then, let's see, I'm going to pull this cow back in. And so I want to create a shadow that's going to be like kind of right through here. Now take this shadow, since I don't want it through his leg, I'm going to move it to there. All right, now, next, I'm going to make a big brush right here. And the feather should be at 0% hardness. Okay. And then I'm just going to start erasing some of this so it doesn't look too much of a line that's going through it. Okay, so there's still a little shadow in there, but it's not much. The other thing I can do is I can always change my opacity if it's too much. So that's pretty decent. Let me go back in there just a little bit. So you can see how there's a subtle shadow in there. Now the next thing I want to do is I'm going to make a new layer. Maybe you want to name them. So like I named this one Shadow Hoof. So I want to go into this hoof to make it look like it's kind of right there. So using the brush tool, I'm going to go in and make it a little spot there. So I'm just clicking a couple times. I'm not sure if that's going to do much. I'm just adding a couple little spots there. Okay. Now with the eraser tool, fade this off a little bit more. Fade this off a little bit more. So most importantly, I'm probably going to end up having a little line right here and then a little spot right there. Now, as I'm making this bigger, it's just going to fade the whole picture a little bit more. So now I've got this somewhat of a shadow going right through here behind him. Now, if it still seems a little bit dark, I can always go in and change the opacity of this layer. And so I'll let you kind of figure out what looks best. Maybe that's too strong. Maybe go a little bit less here, a little bit less. And so there's kind of my cow picture for right now. So that kind of works. How is this different than the other one? We'll check it out. So I've got those on there, and that one looks a little bit better. And then what I would have to do is probably hide that one, move that one back. Nope, put that guy back. Okay, so there's that other shadow that we could have done. Anyway, I hope this helps you. That's kind of the plan for this assignment. If you have any questions, reach out. We're doing 2 projects for this one. So we've got the cow assignment, and then we're also doing the second image where it's another design just like this, but instead of a cow, it's going to be an image of your choice. The reason I do both, the cow is always kind of a fun one, and then the second one, I like to see how creative you can be. So come up with some fun ideas, write them down, jot them down, and then get started. So hope that helped, and good luck and have some fun with this. There's a lot of ways to go about this. The other thing I didn't show you is you can always use the burn tool, right? Sorry, this is the last thing, but on this layer, maybe you want to burn some of this into the ground, because as you burn it, you're going to see the layer get a little bit darker. So that's one option, and maybe you change the opacity a little bit less, and then you can burn in your picture a bit. So that's it. Good luck with this assignment. Have fun with it.